There is over $1.3 million on the line across 12 games this weekend on one region alone, EU, so I'm going to whiz through the main contenders and tell you one advantage that they have that could help them win and one disadvantage that may prevent them from winning. Of course, I'll give my prediction as well, and if you can predict the results correctly, there is a prize waiting for you, so I will explain that later. We start with Cami and Setty, whose advantage is their consistency. I'm sure you didn't see that coming. They have finished top 8 in 17 out of 19 finals that they've played together, and their consistency goes game by game as well, with a top 10 finish in 74% of their finals games this season. They will finish top 5 this weekend unless something very weird happens. And their disadvantage is that there's a decent chance that their loot paths will have to be adapted at some point, as there are volatile situations around them in Rocky and South Collider. Queasy and Vino's advantage in the Shifty Shafts area is the huge amount of loot that they have, including grapplers. They have over 40 chests and 90 floor loots, which is more than every other team in the lobby. As one of the best height teams in the world, I suspect this means they will be on height more than everyone else. Their biggest barrier will be Surge, as they command such a large area and there aren't that many people dropping around them, so this is the one problem that I can see for them. Over to Rave Cave, where Thomas and Trippin will be landing as usual. Their advantage is just generally having consistently great loot every game. Even if they fight off spawn, they will leave with a great loadout and max heals. As for any problems they could face, I would say Surge. When they don't fight off spawn, they are really reliant on Thomas's ability to hit every shot he takes. While he does have the biggest difference between his damage dealt and taken of any EU player in mid-game, they are sometimes forced into situations where even they can't summon up the magic to survive Surge. Now we have Pinq and Anas. Aside from being a team with great chemistry, they are the best team that are fully on the east side of the map, so favourable zones would give them a huge chance over everyone else. Last season, the Joneses was in first zone only 23% of the time, but now it is 37%, which is a massive buff for the landing spot. Their major problem is that their off-spawn will probably get messy, with Shizo Force and Kiro Jurdy all wanting the grapplers, and if they can't survive at least 10 games with good loot, then they probably just can't compete with the uncontested teams. Andalex and Snazie come into this tournament with a good chance of taking advantage of the number of teams contesting each other around Loot Lake. There are 6 teams in just 3 drop spots if they head to the west, and this should give excellent Surge and Elim opportunities. The reason I'll give for why they won't win is because no French player has finished in the top 8 of FNCS this year. Okay, that's a bad reason, but it's just a surprising stat given how strong the country has been over the years. I fully expect Andalex and Snazie to put an end to that bad stat though. Now we have Tayson and Traffix, whose advantage is that they have always performed when it matters. They just have no real weaknesses in their gameplay, they can play any layer and win it any way they want. However, their main issue is being contested by Podosai and Xsuize, as they may not survive off spawn enough times and might not have the best loot either when they do, so can they survive enough games to actually challenge for the win? I'm not so sure. Moustache and Malibuca have the advantage of being the team in the lobby with the highest pop-off potential. Moustache is the most successful fragger in EU over the last 2 seasons in terms of elims, averaging 2.5 per game in the top lobbies. This is of course set up by Malibuca's excellent IGLing and tarping, and even if they don't make every single endgame, they are the team that can still just go crazy and win it all. It doesn't look like they're going to be directly contested, but they will probably have some teams very nearby, so this is the disadvantage that they have. I would say that overconfidence after so many crazy performances could be an issue, but they just seem to win every fight every time anyway, so I guess it's not an issue. Vidil and Janice have uncontested Greasy and some friends nearby. Assuming that they deal with Surge, they have plenty of loot and space to have a really great tournament this time. Their problem is that to win FNCS, you generally either need to be the best height, mid-ground or low-ground team, and while they're good in all areas, they're just not the very best at anything, so I find it unlikely that they will actually win the whole thing. And we will go straight over to their friends Noahreyli Rezon, who have the grapplers southwest of Greasy and know this underrated drop spot very well, having landed there for a lot of the season. This friendly rivalry could be their small advantage, as I'm sure there will be a mutual understanding that they don't want to grief each other too much. However, it's been 6 months since Noah won a tournament, and 1 year for Rezon. There's not a lot to suggest that will change here, with their gameplay tending to lack the final spark that's required to win the biggest tournaments. Hen and Savage find themselves contested in Tilted Towers. I'm going to say that their biggest advantage though is Tilted, as it's centre map and they have plenty of teams around for their surge. They showed good promise in the semi-finals, utilising their starting position well, so check out my video on their strategy for that if you haven't already seen it. But weirdly, I'll also say Tilted is their biggest problem for this tournament, as they are contested and may find their loot compromised and end up getting into way too many early and mid-game fights, which we know is a big issue of theirs historically. Without that semi-final that they won, they've disappointingly only made the top 10 in 5 games out of 23 during set lobbies. As I said at the start, I will do a little prediction competition for you. There are many things that comp Fortnite players find helpful, like points estimates, drop maps and just general advice. Thankfully that's all in Pinq Premium, and someone will get that for free for the rest of the year. To enter, just drop your top 3 teams down in the comments, and if you get it right, it might be you. But I'm sure you want to hear my choices, so here they are. I am picking Queasy and Vino to win. With as much loot as they want off spawn, they will save materials with the grapplers and take height many times in endgame. Add the fact that a couple of big height teams are contested in this final, and I think Queasy and Vino are the most likely to take the title and the largest chunk of the prize pool with it. I have Malibuca Moustache down for second, and Cami and Setty in third. And finally I also have 2 dark horse picks. Cheatin and Gripey played brilliantly in the first qualifier final and have a great setup for themselves over in the northeast of the map. And Marco Clinbury I think also could do well. They qualified by winning the first game of semis that they played and have many contested teams all around them to take advantage of. Thanks for watching, don't forget to enter the competition and see you next time.